Some people can name the emotion on a face before the face has finished making it. Not guess it, name it, from a fraction of the information everyone else needs. In 2002, a psychologist named Seth Pollack sat children in front of a screen. A face would appear, buried in visual noise, then slowly sharpen, and the child's only job was to say the moment they knew what this person was feeling. The children who had been physically abused at home called out anger while the picture was still a blur. Same screen, same eyes, half the information, and they already knew. Nobody taught them that, though. It was installed. If you have ever known what kind of evening it was going to be from the way the front door closed, then this is about the thing in you that did that. Psychologists call this traumatic intelligence, and that name is doing something strange. It takes the thing you apologized for and reads it as a specification. Before this is over, you will have the 5 signs, the exact bill this skill sends you, and 1 2-second test that tells you whether you are reading the room in front of you or a room from 15 years ago. Almost nobody is taught the difference. That is why the gift keeps behaving like a problem. 1. You read the room before the room says anything. You walk in and something takes a reading, not a thought, but a temperature. Who is fine? Who is performing fine? How much space there is for you tonight? It arrives before you decide to look, which means it feels like intuition. It is not intuition, it is speed. And Pollack's experiment put a number on that speed because the head start was not general. Happy faces, sad faces, no advantage at all, only anger. Those brains had not become better at reading people. They had become better at the one face that used to predict what happened in the next 10 minutes. So when someone tells you that you are perceptive, they are describing a search that has been running since you were small, on one very narrow query. 2. You know how someone feels before they do. The same lab built a slider. On one end, a sad face. On the other end, an angry one. And dozens of blended steps in between. Children were asked to say where sadness stopped and anger began. For most kids, the border sat near the middle of the slider. For children who had grown up around violence, it sat early. On the same face, in the same instant, they were seeing a different emotion than the child beside them, and neither of them was hallucinating. The border had moved. That is what people are pointing at when they call you too sensitive. Not that you feel more, that you cross the line sooner. This is also why you finish other people's sentences about their own moods, and why they sometimes find it unnerving instead of kind. 3. When everything falls apart, you get quiet and organized. Other people freeze at the sound of raised voices. Something in you gets calm, almost administrative. So you start sorting. What is actually broken? Who needs to be moved? What do I say first? A team led by Chirag Mittal tested this in 2015, instead of admiring it. They asked adults how predictable their childhoods had been, then made the present feel uncertain, and measured mental control. People from unpredictable childhoods got better at shifting, at dropping one rule mid-task and picking up another. People from stable childhoods got worse under the same pressure. Same trigger, opposite direction. A few years later, Tochukwu Nweze and his colleagues tested children who had been separated from their parents and were living rough, and found they outperformed home-raised children at updating what was held in working memory. Not despite the chaos, but because of what the chaos required of them daily. 4. You cannot stop building models of people. You replay the conversation at 1 in the morning, not because you are embarrassed, though you might be, because you are still extracting the rule. Why did his voice change on that one word? Why did she agree so fast? Researchers who study this call it the hidden talents approach, and the argument is simple. A brain shaped by a hard environment is not a damaged version of a normal brain. It is a brain that got very good at the specific problems that environment kept handing it. Yours was handed people, unpredictable, high-stakes people. So you built a working model of every important person in your life, and you keep the models updated, and you run them forward to see what happens next. Most people around you have no idea this is happening. They think you are just good with people. 5. You would rather do it alone, and you are usually right. Asking for help has a cost attached that other people do not seem to pay. Somewhere early, help came with conditions, or came late, or came and then left. And the arithmetic settled. Doing it yourself is cheaper. So you became competent at an unreasonable number of things. Here is the strange part. Back in 2010, Mark Siri followed thousands of people over several years and compared their history of difficult events with how they were actually doing. The curve was not a slope. It was a U shape. People with some adversity behind them were doing better than people with a lot, which everyone expects, and also better than people with none at all, which nobody expects. A moderate amount of trouble left people steadier than a clean record did. You are on that curve somewhere. The question is, which side? So that is the skill. Now, the bill. Every early warning system has to make a trade, and it is arithmetic, not character. Tune a detector to catch danger early, and it will also call danger that is not there. Pollock's group went back in 2003 and watched where attention actually went, and abused children could find an angry face fast, but then could not let go of it. The alarm fired quickly and stayed on. 13 years before that, Kenneth Dodge and his colleagues ran something colder. They showed children ambiguous moments, the kind where you genuinely cannot tell whether someone meant it, and children who had been abused were far more likely to read hostility into the ambiguity. That reading predicted their own aggression years later. The detector was not lying. It was answering a question that had already been asked and settled long ago. Which brings us to the part almost everyone gets wrong. The sign that you have this is not that you are right about people. You often are. But the sign is that you are certain before the evidence has finished arriving. Certainty is the symptom. Accuracy is just how it recruits you. So here is the test, and it takes about 2 seconds. The next time the alarm goes off, name what you saw. Out loud if you can. The delay before the reply. The jaw. The volume of a door. If you can name a thing that happened in the room, the alarm is data, and you should absolutely use it. If the only thing you can name is the feeling, the alarm is memory, and memory is not evidence about the person in front of you. Then use the sentence that does the rest of the work. This is information, not instruction. Your system is allowed to send you a signal without also sending you the response you learned at 11 years old. Because that is the actual difference between a wound and a skill. A wound gives you the reading and the reaction in one sealed package. A skill gives you the reading and leaves the next move to you. The face in the noise, the one you can still identify before it finishes forming. You are not imagining that ability, and you did not earn it in a classroom. It was built early, in a room where getting it wrong was expensive. Nobody sat you down afterwards to tell you that the room had changed, that the noise had cleared, and that the fastest reader in the house is now allowed to wait for the picture. Which of the 5 did you recognize first? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Put the number in the comments. I read them.